Yes. So let's get started. Okay. Last week we talked about one second. Where's my pen? Yeah. Last week we talked about connectivity, right? Yeah. Today we will just continue that, but we'll just take a closer look at certain things. Yeah. But I would like to just start with a question, and maybe through that we can, revisit the things we did last day and extend also. Let's just start with a question. Um, right. So let's say that we have 10 cities. Okay, 10 cities. Let's say we have 10 cities, okay, and we have roads between any two of them. Okay, between any two cities. Okay, right. And then what is it that we're trying to do? So there are two people. Okay, person A. Okay, person A is assigned a set of roads. Okay, is assigned a set of roads such that he can use these roads to travel across the 10 cities. Okay, such that he can use them, or they are enough, okay, to travel across all cities, meaning that from any city to any city. So try to understand here, right, that the person A can only use the roads that he is assigned. He obviously cannot use any road. Okay, that's very important. This is a simple question. Now, what is a question? Yeah, this is going to be a simple question, but what's the question? Now, there is a person B. Okay, person B also wants to do the same thing. Okay, person B also wants to travel across, and so person B also wants to do the same. Okay, but and this can be framed in a more colorful way, but I'm just framing it more mathematically. But chooses to use chooses to use or rather chooses to not use, I should say, right? Chooses to not use the roads that person A uses. Question is this possible? Is this possible? Obviously, for those who have formally seen the notion of connectivity, you can see how this is like connectivity type question, but in any case, you can just think of this as a question. Okay, it's a very simple question. Obviously, we'll generalize this and so on, but right. Yeah. So person is assigned a set of roads, and person B basically wants to use the roads which are not used by person A. Okay. Then is it possible that both of them can travel without interfering with each other on the roads? So they can obviously meet at the cities, okay, but maybe the roads are narrow and so on, so on. Yeah. This is a very simple question for if you've done connectivity. Okay. Can you give explanation? Can you say more in what sense it is not possible? Hmm. Right. No, all the vertices are not connected by a single path. So, I mean, it would be good if they are, right? But that is not the only way. So, try to, yeah, I mean, what you're saying is right in a certain context. But see, person A being able to travel across the 10 cities It doesn't mean that they have to be connected by path. Doesn't mean that he has to just walk along a simple path. It could be more complicated. It could be uh, so they need not be one path that goes across every vertex. No, that need not happen. Okay, so it may be like this. Maybe this is what person A is assigned. Okay, so that's why connectivity is more subtle than that. That's what we investigated the last time, the cost of connectivity. But it may still be right that it is not possible, or if someone can create a situation in which it is possible, then I think that's. So now think, right? Now think that if, so this is the pink roads are on which person A has walked, let's say. So this is one particular situation or one possible situation. Then can person B walk on the complement? That's the point here, right? Can person B use the blank roads, the invisible roads? I don't want to draw them because it will become very messy. But is it possible that person B uses in this particular situation, is it possible that person B uses the blank roads to travel across? Yeah. So maybe the travel across is slightly misleading, right? When I say travel across, I don't mean that just using one path, but somehow be able to travel across. Like in this case, you don't get one particular path that goes everywhere, but you can go anywhere from anywhere. Yeah. No, it's not at all about Hamiltonian path. So okay, my point is, okay, let me say why it's not about Hamiltonian path. Hamiltonian path is a much more special situation. This is just about being able to go from anywhere to anywhere. And let's just see the situation of person A. So let's say the pink paths, let's say pink lines are person A, or yeah. Then is this forming a Hamiltonian path or Hamiltonian cycle? Whatever that means. For those who don't know, don't worry. It's not about it. It does not. I mean, just like what Chandan was saying, like it doesn't travel every. But this is, but person A can use clearly. Person A can use these paths to travel anywhere, right? If he's here and if he wants to go here, he can just go like back to the central vertex, you could say, the main thing, catch a bus and you can come here. This is not Hamiltonian, I mean, or this is not like something that goes across in one easy way, but he can. That's all we are looking for. We're looking for a very natural and maybe more general concept. Okay, I'm not saying it's harder or easier, but just a more less stringent. So then the question is, yeah. Okay, so you also think it is not possible in this situation. Okay, so let me write my question. So can a person be travel? This can be framed in n number of ways because some bad roads are there and so on. And so it can be travel. It can be framed in many ways. That's why that's the utility of this kind of. This is easy. We'll just do a much more interesting version of this because I think today the class is more mature. So yeah. Anyways, so person B can person B travel along the invisible? In this thing. And what Pragya has said, I think, is absolutely correct, right? But I mean, but this doesn't say the answer is no. Let me explain. Okay, so maybe I should say in this case, in the case I've drawn, in the case I drew, and the answer is obviously not, right? Because I mean, let's say he is here, okay, and basically you cannot go to, you can never go to one, right? In this particular picture, you can obviously never go to one. So in this particular case, it is not possible. But My question was, is this possible? When I said my question was, is such an assignment possible? Is it possible to lay out, is it possible to plan roads, set of roads for person A and set of roads for person B so that they both can happily travel? That was what my saying was when I was saying, is it possible? Because I was looking for a yes somewhere. Not saying it's obviously not always, like in this case, it's not possible, but is such an assignment, such a planning or whatever. It's a fundamental question. You want two things to not overlap and still, kind of have a good reach. It's a fundamental question, mathematically or even, yeah. Is such an assignment possible? That is what my question is. And the answer to this is yes. Okay. So you see, this was not a very clear question. I think that's the whole part, so that we are all part of this investigation. Okay, that's really what I want to do. And also because I'm just trying to make these questions, because there is some theorem which I'm trying to get at in the end, and I'm trying to just make a question out of it first, and this is a good problem, and that's how problems are made, right? And interesting problems are made. But in any case, yeah, the answer is yes. Such a layout is possible. Can anybody suggest such a layout? And let's not go to 10, right? Let's just do for 6 or 4, something like that. Let's do for 6, and then we can just think, right? So can anybody design layout in this case where both the parties can happily travel? Someone is joining now. Okay, Noel is here. Yes. So meanwhile, you guys try. I will just quickly say the question to Noel. I think he can understand this very, very easily, but still I'll say this. So here is, we are trying to prove a theorem, but we are just starting with the problem. So we have 6 cities. We were doing for 10 cities, but in any case, we have 6 cities, and there are roads available between any 2 cities. Now, person A, we want to assign some set of roads to person A. We want to assign some set of roads to person A so that using those roads and only those roads, he can travel from any city to any city. That's what we want to do for person A. But we also want to do the same for person B. But we want to do it in a way that none of the roads are in common. And the question is it possible? We discussed a bit, but that's not important. This is really what the meat of the question is. Is it possible? It's just a puzzle at this stage, but we'll prove interesting results from here. Okay. Is it possible to give some roads to person A and some roads to person B such that both can happily travel without sharing any common roads? And they want to travel across from anywhere to anywhere using the roads assigned to them. You drew one. That's wonderful, right? So it's possible. Yeah. 1 second. So what I'll do is I'll number the vertices so that you can tell me very easily. I think maybe some more interactive version would have been good, maybe a Jamboard, but no, but you can obviously do that, right? Once you solve this problem, then you can assign the rest of the roads to someone. It's always better if you have more roads. So yeah. Yes, Pragya. So maybe because we have people have been thinking about this, or Pragya has got a solution. So can you tell us what was the for person A? Hmm? Yes, yeah, sure. Hmm. Wonderful. Right. So, and you see, it's possible, right? So it's possible. But this was just simple puzzle, right? It's very simple. But how would you do it? How would you prove in general that it is possible for n cities? And again, I'm not going into that because it's easy. You can just do, you can make some sort of construction, some pattern, and you can do it. That is homework. Try to do it. But let's just, no, there's no point in making this 10 right now. What I'm trying to get at is, okay, fine, you do it as a puzzle, very good. But how could you have used the theory of the previous day to predict that the answer was yes? Or there was really no advanced theory, but this is what we had shown, right? We had shown that if you have n vertices and using n points, let's just take a number, it doesn't matter, but yeah, let's say we have 50 vertices, and using this, and we want to see how many edges we can use to connect them. What's the minimum number of edges you can use to connect 50 vertices? Obviously, connecting doesn't mean that between any two you have to draw a line, but some you should draw enough edges so that you can go from anywhere to anywhere, just like in this situation we have seen. So we had seen that 49 is the minimum. And for those who have not don't know the proof of this, you can easily prove. I mean, you can just draw a path, right? It's very simple. 50 vertices. Obviously, that's just part of the story, but you can draw a path. Okay. But you can also show that 48 will never be enough, and that's very sounds very intuitive, right? 48 will never be enough, but try to prove it. But in any case, that's all that we have done the last time. In this situation, why should the answer be yes? Because look, if you have 50 vertices, then you have 50 choose two roads, a lot of roads. And you know that the cost of connectivity is linear. And we will use this to solve a very interesting question right now, okay, or maybe in part at least, which is considerably has some new ideas essentially. 50 vertices to connect. I mean, in total, you have 50 choose two edges. So you have quadratic number of edges, 50 into 49, that's like 4 digits. But you only need 49 for the first guy. So why don't you use 49? Right? So you use the 49 of them, but you have to use it in a wise way. I was being stupid first, right? What I was doing first is, as those who were there, right? I was just doing this, but it's doomed. You have used up everything for from this vertex, and now you cannot lay the roads for person B if you use this for person A. So just using 49 is not enough. You have to use it in a spread out way, as was done later. Pragya has said here, right? So, but the point is that we saw that 49 is a very small number. The cost of connectivity is a very small number, and we saw something else. And that really what goes into connects with everything, in fact, right? And that is 49 is minimum plus. There was an algorithmic way. There was no algorithm really, but I would just say it is easy to do that. Easy to make a tree. Easy to make a tree. I mean, easy to do it. You just have to make sure that at each step you don't make a cycle. I'll go into the details of that, but right. Let's think about it, right? If you're using 50 vertices and 49, you're using 49 edges, then you obviously cannot afford to make cycles. One can prove that, but just think about it. Right? Cycles are like, you're wasting edges. 49 is a minimum, so obviously you cannot waste edges, right? So this just means that this will never have cycles. And yeah, so it was easy to make, which means that there are many trees, and that we can count that. We will do that not today, maybe. Okay, but because of the abundance and because of the small requirement, we know that this should have been possible. And the answer is yes. Very simple. But let us try to look at this question in a different way. What we have essentially done is this. Let's take the, so there are two ways I want to go from here. Let me first go the easier way and then go the harder way after that. There are two kinds of questions which you can ask. I want to keep this inquiry based, just asking questions and so on. Okay, questions that you would ask if you had more time. But yeah, I'm just speeding up the process a little bit here, but we'll have enough questions to think about after this. Okay. For example, here you have to design one for n. That's what you should do. But in any case, what I'm trying to say is that from here, there are two kinds of places you can go. Okay, any questions? Okay, no questions. There is my microphone? No, 1 second. No, fine. There are two ways you can go from here, right? One is, which is what I want to go, is the concept of a complement graph. And this is a thing. If you take the red graph, or if you take the graph of person A, let's try to get used to using these notations. Okay, if you take the graph of person A, or in this case the red graph, right, then as Noel was also asking here, right, pointing out that, I mean, essentially you can use all the roads, right? I mean, if you can make one, then for you can use all the roads, the rest of the roads for the rest, because we just want two people. Now we'll generalize this question and see how many people we can fit in. That is really where we want to go. But in some sense, the graph of person B, right, maybe it's even better at this stage. Obviously soon we will not be doing all this, but I think it's good to be comfortable with the notation so that we can think more freely. Okay? We don't spend energy there. If G and GB, what essentially we are asking is that, is there a graph GA which is connected between any 2 points you can travel, not directly maybe, but you can somehow travel? Is there a graph GA whose complement is also connected? Is there a graph G such that GA complement? Now, what do I mean by complement? By complement, I mean that a graph which doesn't use any edges that were used by A. By complement, I mean complementing the edge set. I think this is good enough. Just complementing the edge set, such that GA is connected. Okay, so this is slightly incomplete. Is there a connected graph? Is there a connected graph GA such that G complement is also connected? And if this question is thrown at you the first day of connectivity, it's a little, you may be sure that the answer is no, maybe, I don't know, because first time I saw, I said no. But after you have understood that the cost of connectivity is low and so on, it's very obvious. And you can just construct it for any size n. That's what we have done, right? So it's not a coincidence, a general phenomena. And the answer is yes. Now, what is a natural question to ask from here? What's the next question? If you are stuck here, if you are proved this result, then, and if you have time, in a sense that if you just in the at home and just trying and have done this, so what is the next question that you would ask? So you have found a graph, you have found graphs G, so that G is connected and G complement is also connected. And you have found such things, and you even have a recipe, you even have for n vertices. What's the next question you would ask? This is still not algorithmic, but it's these are important. Yeah. Sorry. Right, cardinality of what? Yes. Okay. So that's an interesting question which I didn't think about, right? That I didn't think about, and so yeah. So that's the question Noel is asking: is it possible to make it so that the cardinality of these two are equal? And another is extra condition is putting. Okay. Think about this. This is, well, this will obviously not be possible if the number of vertices is, if the number of edges is odd. And you can figure all that out when it is odd and when it is not odd and so on. I'll leave that to you. You have to work modulo 4 and see. But when this is possible, I mean, when number of edges is even, then the answer to this is, I think, yes. Try to prove it. So now you have a better task to do, that you make a graph such that it uses half the number of edges and the other half is also connected and this is also connected. It's a very interesting question to answer, actually. It goes into some other things like isomorphism, complementary isomorphic to the graph, self isomorphic graphs, but you can answer this question. Please note it down. Yeah, but okay, logically, so this is like an optimization person's way to generalize this. So please note this. Okay, I'm removing this because, and the answer to that is yes, but I'll leave that for homework. But what I was asking is the converse true? If you are, okay, if someone thinks this, this logic mathematically in this sense, then is a converse true? Well, I'm not saying that you just reverse the arrow and ask the question. No, that's robotic. No, but just think about it, right? It's an interesting question to ask. Is the converse true? Because this will give you more insights into the nature of connectivity. Okay, so what is the question? Let's just put the question. Okay, the question is that is there a graph such that, okay, let's just make it clear. Okay, no, I'm not framing it as a word problem anymore. Okay, you can frame it for yourself now if you want to think about it like that. If G is disconnected, right? That means some roads are assigned to person A such that he's unable to travel. Then is, no, that's a very bad way to put the question. Maybe some broken roads, but you have to be a bit more creative and make a question more interestingly. But the essence is this is the same. If G is disconnected, then is G complement connected? So we saw that if G was connected, then G complement was not necessarily disconnected. It was also connected. It was possible that both are connected. But now if the first one is disconnected, then what can we say about the second one? Again, you can think about it, draw pictures and see, or you can just think from the perspective of the cost of connectivity and also the abundance of connected subgraphs and so on. You can get an intuition there. And the other side I will generalize next. That will lead to a very interesting. This is still easier, I think. Right. So if you say that, then you should give examples in both directions. Yeah, that might be possible. That might be possible. I mean, it's, but yeah. Oh, sorry. Okay, someone is joining now. Okay, because I changed the time. Okay, 1 second. Yeah. Hi, Amanda. Yes. So the class. Did you get the mail? The class was at 8:30. We started half an hour early. I'll send you. Oh, but no, that's fine. I'll send you what you have missed. But yeah. I think I didn't mention the time in the thing subject. But in any ways, yeah, I will send you what you have missed shortly. Yeah. But yeah. So let all of us think about this, and I will just frame the question. Yeah, because you have missed something. So in any ways, let me frame the question. Okay, while you can think about it, right? So the question that we are asking is the following. G is a graph that is not connected. Okay, so for example, there are 6 points. Let's say there's 6 points. There are 6 points, and we have these lines. Okay, these lines obviously don't connect the graph because there is no way in this graph, right? There is no way to go from 1 to 6. It's not connected. Then what do you mean by G complement? Complement means that, well, we saw the word problem version of it and so on. So now we have an intuition of it. But just to say it in short, the complement means that using the edges which are not used in G, right? The complement would mean this edge, this edge, this edge, this edge, this, which are not used in G, the complement of the edge set. So if G is disconnected, so it means that G has few edges in some sense. So this is probably an intuition that all of us can use to try to answer this question. G is disconnected, which means it doesn't have enough edges. Now, what can we say about G complement? Can we say it's necessarily connected? Right? Or we cannot say anything. Yeah. Maybe I'll draw the complement graph here and you will see that it is connected. So it was like this and this and this. This is U complement, right? I think I missed 5, 6, 7, 9, 10. I certainly, yeah, I missed now. Yeah, one and yeah, certainly missed, but this is already connected. You can see, yeah, 6 and 2. Yes, anyways, yeah. You see, so G, this is G and this is G complement. So I suppose this it should be very clear what G and G complement mean, not just theoretically understanding it's a complement, right? And you see, in this case, the answer is yes. If G is disconnected, or if this particular graph is disconnected, then G complement is connected. But the question is it always true? I mean, remember, a graph can have a lot of vertices and still, so that is really the crux. That's why this question is more difficult, because a graph can really have a lot of vertices and it still may not be connected. So it's clear that this is connected, right? Because you can go from, so for example, just a silly point here, but just saying it, between 1 and 2, you see, you can go like this, or you can go other ways, but you can go even though they don't have an edge directly. In any case, yeah, no, my point was that, I mean, if G is disconnected, it doesn't necessarily, I mean, I was saying that in the beginning, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it has less number of vertices. That's what I was saying, but that was obviously wrong, right? It can have a lot of vertices. Sorry, it can have a lot of edges. It can have a lot of lines and still be disconnected. Let's just change the thing and see. I mean, it can have a lot of lines. We can try to do for 6, but I will prove it in general. Yeah, because this is easy to prove. Right. Like you see, for example, I was saying in this case, right? You see, this is disconnected, right? But it has a lot of edges. It has a lots and lots of edges, but it is still disconnected. 4 is isolated. But you can see that the same 4 that was isolated in the complement, it's the hero, right? It helps you to connect the graph. You can think, right? Now, if you draw the complement, the same 4 will help to connect everyone, right? It becomes connected, right? So this seems like the answer is yes. So we saw that it is possible that G is connected. So this is the previous question we were doing. It's possible that G is connected and G complement is also connected. They can both share the edges among them, in the sense that huge number of edges, and some G can take, some G complement can take, and this disjoint, but they're still happy. Okay, they can still travel across the cities. This is a different question, right? This is, one cannot, then can the other necessarily? Yes. Yes. How do we do this? So in this case, we're trying to now prove for general. It's very clear that it should be true now. Try more cases. This is like one extreme situation, right? The other extreme situation was when they have 4 edges, or yeah. So how do we do it? So this is like the first time maybe we are showing, okay, not the first, there was another condition which we had last class. Just if each have at least n by 2 mutual friends, that was also a condition, but this is another way, another sufficient condition to show that a graph is connected. Right. So let me, I mean, it will be very useful for us to remove these things, otherwise it may hinder the maybe, yeah, or you can. Yeah. So this is G complement, and let's say this is disconnected. We want to show that, now I'll just remove this, and so this will be a proof type thing, okay? We want to show that G complement is connected. I'll just do it for the 6 vertices, and then you guys can try to prove it for n vertices, but the proof will be same. This is like a local proof in some sense. We'll just look at. Yeah. In fact, G complement is more than just connected. It has a small diameter, and there is some concept like that. But we'll see if that is true. I think that is true. Okay, so let's say maybe you guys have never done this kind of. So let's try to see the ideas. What ideas we use here. So the way we show that something is connected, right? The way you show that something is connected. This question can be framed in another way also. If G complement is disconnected and G is connected, it's the same question, but let's just stick with this. We want to show that the complement will be connected. We have seen examples, we want to show it now. When you want to show that something is connected, how do you do it? See, look at the statement of connectivity, right? It is for every pair of vertices, you can travel from there to there. For every pair of for every x and y, you can travel from x to y somehow. That's what we'll show. We pick an arbitrary x and y. We don't make any assumptions on x and y, just two arbitrary x and y in the complement. Or here we have 6 and 3. We don't have any particular graph in mind here. That's the whole thing. We're trying to prove a state theorem which will apply for all graphs, all models which are disconnected graphs. Right. So we are trying to show that 6 and 3 are connected. 6 and 3 are connected means there is a way to go from 6 to 3. There is a path from 6 to 3. So let me write that. Trying to find a path from 6 to 3. I should say path between 6 and 3 because path is not a directed path, but the list doesn't matter. From 6 to 3. Let's think about how we can do this. G is disconnected. We have to use that. Okay, what does disconnected means? I mean, we saw, right, when we took an example, we saw that if there was an isolated vertex, if there was a vertex which is a very bad situation in this graph, which was not connected with anyone, then that really became the connector in the complement. Right. That is sort of the thing. That's the sort of thing we will use. But let's just break down. See, you don't see. You should not. Rather, I would encourage that when you're doing problems, you shouldn't always try to break down it logically because I mean it happens unconsciously, and all that. But since we are new to this concept, maybe then that's why I'm just trying to break it. So on. Okay. It's breaking it logically. I mean, I'm not saying the question is the this subject is very dry and so no, it is works intuition level, but just breaking the definition. G is disconnected means what? It means that there are two vertices, 2 points, x and y, such that there is no path. There is no path, right, between x and y. This is what disconnected means, right? Disconnected means it is just enough for 2 points to be disconnected. I mean, disconnected means that if there are just 2 points which are defaulters, which cannot be connected, then you're doomed. Let us assume that 1 and 2 are not connected. Okay. There are some x and y, but let's assume that 1 and 2 are those things, right? Assume 1 and 2 are not connected. Look, this does not just mean, it doesn't just mean that there is no edge like this. So obviously, there is no edge like that. But 1 and 2 are not connected means that there is no path from 1 and 2. In G, it means that this such a thing doesn't exist in G. This does not exist. Okay, this does not exist. Right? I mean, 6 and 5 might be connected. 1 and 2 are not connected. Some x and y are not connected. I'm just making it very okay. because you have to write the general proof yourself. Okay, this is just 1 and 2 are not connected. So how can we leverage that here to connect 6 and 3? The idea is to use that to find a way between 6 and 3. Certainly, and in particular, it means that, yeah. So this implies, I mean, it's very obvious, but I'm just writing it. In G complement, 1 and 2 are connected. Yeah, and it means more than just this. Okay, yeah, it means more than just this, but might mean wait 1 second, it will mean, yeah, will mean more than just this. Let's see. But then, yeah, so that's one edge we found, right? How can we leverage this to connect 6 and 3 is my question. So yes, go on. Why? Because 1 and 6 might be connected in this. Yeah, so you have to think. But you see, one more thing we can do, right? We can assume that in our graph in G there was a line here, because see, if there was no line there in our graph, then there is nothing to do in our problem. Then 6 and 3 are connected. Even if that line was not there, if this was not there, if this was not there, then it would be here. There is nothing to do. You are done. It's the best situation. But yeah, obviously we want to make the problem, we want to focus on the interesting part. So we assume that there is a line here. This will not be useful probably, but it can just help you to maybe, I don't know, somehow, just some information. Yeah. I mean, so it's somewhat like what Saugata is saying, right? That 1 and 2 are not connected means that there was no way to go from 1 to 2. What does it mean? It means that, I mean, it means that in this graph, you're going to connect 6 and 3 via 1 and 2. I mean, that is because you see, that is really the only information you have in general, right? That 1 and 2 are not connected. The rest of the things can be connected, so you may not be able to use them in G complement. I mean, I'm trying to say that everything might have been connected. So you have to use 1 and 2 as a leverage in this question. But in any case, I mean, simply put, if 1 and 2 are not connected, it means that if you try to go via 6, if you try to go via 6, you cannot go, which means that either 1 and 6 is not in G or 2 and 6 is not in G. Right? One of them is missing. Either this is missing or this is. Both cannot be there in G. Right? So let's write it here. Either 1 and 6 or 2 and 6 is not in G. That's what I was saying, right? That 1 and 2 are not connected means a lot. It means that you cannot go from 1 to 2 in any way. So either 1 and 6 is not in G or 2 and 6 is not in G, which means that either one of them is in G complement. Which means that in G complement, either 1 and 6 is joined or 2 and 6 is joined. Let's assume 1 and 6 is joined. It doesn't really matter. Right? See, in G, none of these may be joined. None of 1 or 6 or 2 or 6 will be there, but we can surely say that one of them will not be there. And so it is here in G complement. So the problem is done. In the same way, either 1 and 3 is not there or 2 and 3 is not there. If both were there, it becomes connected. So it means that one of them is there in G complement. So you can say maybe this is there. And you are done. 6 and 3 are connected. Or if you would assume that this is there, because we know one of them is there, still it is connected. Or you can take any other possibility. You may have assumed that 2 and 6, you can just write out all the possibilities. Later you may realize some symmetry and may write a better proof, but just write all the possibilities. If 2 and 6 was not here, then it would be like this, but still they're connected. In G complement, then it will be there, right? If 2 and 6 is not there, then it will be here, and it becomes connected. You see, no matter how you do it, it becomes connected. And you can repeat the same for any vertex x and y, right? As I was saying, it's a local thing. You have to only focus on the obstruction, that is two vertices which are not connected, and use them to connect any two pair of vertices. We didn't really use anything else. Try to write a proof. It's very easy now, but just write it. I mean, you will learn where you are getting stuck and so on, right? Really, it's an honest evaluation of your understanding. Right. So we have proved a very interesting result, right? If G is disconnected and G complement is connected. Yeah. Any questions? This is yeah. Hmm. No, when I said 2 and 6, I didn't say that 2 and 6 are not connected. I meant that there is no edge 2 and 6. Yeah. Yeah. So that's what I've written here. Maybe I said the wrong thing. Yes. What I mean is between 1 and 6 and 2 and 6. So I didn't mean this. I just mean an edge, this line. Either the line 1 and 6 will not be there in G, or the line 2 and 6 will not be there in G. Because 1 and 2 are not connected, which means that you can't go like this. And the reason you cannot go is because maybe 1 and 6 are not joined, or 2 and 6 are not joined. So one of them will be joined in G complement. Now try to write it. Just forget maybe what I've said completely. Not means don't forget, whatever. Just try to write it. Okay, this is, yeah, will be good. Try to write it in general. So this, I mean, this again is basically on the point that, I mean, if G is disconnected, then G complement is connected, and that kind of says something. Because you see, it means that if G is disconnected, then G cannot have, then G will leave out at least n minus. This actually proves something very interesting. See, when we are saying that G complement is connected, what does it mean? We have proved this, right? This proves that G complement, this implies that whatever, let's keep it like that. It implies that G complement has at least n minus 1 edges. Is that right? In fact, it has much more, but at least this much, right? So we have shown this, right, last time, that if some graph is connected, it must have at least n minus 1 edges. For those who have not proved, just try to prove it. It's a good exercise. Okay, you can do it by induction, but you can do it by any way. If a graph is connected, it must have at least n minus 1. It means that if there are n vertices, yeah, at least n minus 1 edges. This means that G complement has at least n minus 1 edges. This means that G has, or I should say, G has at most n choose 2 minus n minus 1 edges. It's just, I'm just exploring this, right? Because totally there are n choose 2. It means G has at most this. So this also proves something interesting, that if a graph is disconnected, then it must have at most this many edges. Right? So this gives you, is that right? Right. This, which means that, if this means that if G has n choose 2 minus n edges, it is connected. Because that's what we proved, right? Any disconnected graph can have at most this many edges. So if you have even one more, I'm sorry, this would become plus, right? So plus 2. Yeah. Yeah, this is again about, again, try to just work this out. Just think about these things once again, but this is clearly true, right? what I'm trying to say is that it's some new thing, but it's clearly true, clearly follows logically, right? That if G has at most this many edges, G is disconnected, it will have at not more than this, which means that if it has even one more, then it is connected. So this means that the minimum cost of connectivity, is n minus one. If you have n minus one edges and use them wisely, you can connect your graph. If you don't use them wisely, then you cannot connect. We have seen that. Meaning if you don't form cycles, if you don't do repeat and so on. But if you have enough edges, and this is something which I talked about some 3 classes back, some elementary class, that if you have this many edges, then no matter how extravagantly you use them, you will end up with a connected graph. Right? That's what the statement says, right? If G has this many edges, it is connected no matter how badly you use those edges. Try to prove this this has a very simple proof. We don't have to go through this complicated thing that we have done. Obviously, this complicated thing proved something else, which is which is beyond computations. It is some very interesting statement. But this is a very easy thing to prove anyways. This is not hard to prove. Basically, you have to show that you cannot have an isolated word. No matter how badly you want to use, you use them, but still, you will not have any isolated edges. Try to prove this is again a good exercise to do. Take some numbers if you feel more comfortable there. It doesn't matter. Okay. So that's what it is, right? And now I wanted to look at the other side, the other way to generalize it. And yeah, let's do it. I mean, that's what we should do. Yeah. So let's come back to that example, right? Let's come back to this example. There are 6 things. In this, what we saw was that we made a connected graph. But we also saw that we made another connected graph. See, and this is the tree. Tree is just a connected graph with no cycles. Okay. Yeah. This is the situation. And then we saw we made another connected graph. Well, you can make many, but one has to make it wisely. But in any case, let's try to draw. Yeah, let's say you made this. So you need at least 5, right? You need at least 5 edges. You make this. Just try to not make any cycles. Otherwise, you'll be wasting resources. And this. So we have 4. We have to make one more without making cycle. So we can use this. Right. So we fit in, and this is connected, right? You can check. The blue one is connected in its own, and the red ones are connected on their own. That's what I mean. The blue and red cannot use each other's roads. There are two people who want to use disjoint roads, or you can frame it in a number of ways. But so this was the question. This is the thing, right? So on 6 vertices, I can fit in. I mean, I can say we'll generalize this mathematically, but let's just say fit in 2 connected. And obviously, when you try to fit in, you try to fit in the least, right? 2 connected graphs. The question, so what is a natural question to ask if you want to optimize? What's the maximum number of connected graphs you can fit in? 2 you can fit in. Initially, we were thinking maybe sometime at some point we were thinking that you cannot fit in more than 1. But then, the intuition and so on we discussed. But what is the maximum number? And this can again be framed as interesting questions, but yeah, I feel this is interesting. It's mathematically, right? What's the maximum number of connected graphs that we can fit in? We can fit in 2. Can we fit in more? Maybe not in this situation, because maybe I might have drawn them badly. But in general, if you have 6 vertices, how many connected graphs can you possibly fit in? And this can be taken as if for n vertices, it's still easy. But if If you make it slightly more interesting, it can be taken as very elementary these kind of projects. One has to just find the right family, which is not too hard and also a little interesting. But in any case, let's try to answer this. What's the maximum number of connected graphs that we can fit in? At least an upper bound we can easily try to say first, and then yes, right, exactly. That is very. I think that's the very good way to understand, right? Yeah. In this particular one, which I have drawn, which may not be good, but yeah, let's try to see the complement. I mean, if you can fit in one more, then the answer is yes. You can fit in three, and then we can see if we can fit in four. So let's draw the complement. Let's draw it carefully so that no, there are three, so this is two, so that's fine. It's three, so that's one, and yes, but then no, this is then not good. Yeah, because I've used up all the four of this. I've drained it out, right? Now I cannot use that. Now this is doomed. The way I have drawn it, it is doomed. You cannot fit in anymore. We can check, but you can see, right? Yeah. I mean, see, you will get a cycle. You can we'll see, because this is one here, and there are four. No. I think I'm saying something wrong. This is good. Yeah. So that was, and this is connected. It is connected. Yes, wonderful. Yeah, so see, drawing the complement was a good idea here, just to see the picture clearly. And the answer is yes, you can. And if I'm able to do it here, it means you can do it. There may be other ways to do it, and that's another interesting question. But yeah, that is hard. One has to admit that is hard, because even answering how many, that will be triples of trees and so on. Yeah, but so the answer is it three? Can you we have four? Certainly not, right? Try to prove that you can certainly not have four. Four is impossible. Because you see, every time you're drawing a connected graph, you're using n minus 1, or using 5 vertices, 5 edges, right? And you don't have more than 5. 15. 15 is a total. Right? 15 is a total, right? 15 is 6 choose 3. Right? There are 15 total edges. The total, right? And you're using 5 in each case. You obviously don't have more. But now is this the proof? To prove this in general, here's the claim in general, okay? That maybe just try to do it for 10. That's very interesting to just do it for 10 also, and try to see if you can do for 12 and so on. So the question is this, okay? If obviously we have to assume that n is even, and you can understand why, but let me just write it. If n is even, then we can fit in n by 2 connected graphs. You don't have to prove this in general. I mean, for those who are used to recursions and proofs, they can try to do this. Is good exercise for them, but it might be otherwise hard. But try to build, because essentially the proof The graph theory part of the proof is to be able to design, to be able to come up with a pattern. Like how can you use this, and with 8 vertices, how can you extend the argument to 8 vertices? So I'm saying that don't just, so for 8, you will decompose into 4 parts, right? 4 graphs, but not in a random way. It will be extension of what you have done here and something like that, right? So think about how you can do this for any even n. Okay, just like here we have decomposed into 3. Maybe it's a good, will make for a good picture if I just draw it here. Right. All in one graph, but still, this is a very, network theory or machine, just just networks which are not disturbing each other, right? And they're still sort of connected. So they're 3 to 5, yes. And obviously, just a point. This is not an intersection, right? This is, the intersection only have to be on the edge, on the vertices. Yes, the edges will be disjoint. Yeah. So an edge is, an edge E is a pair of vertices. Okay. So this is not an intersection. Right? This is not an intersection because for a graph, this is an edge and this is an edge, and they are just a pair of vertices. An intersection means if they are the same, meaning the same endpoints are the same. And so the edges obviously are intersecting at the vertices and they are intersecting between, but that's not what a graph is. This is the drawing of the graph. A graph edges not, meaning that different edges have to be used, right? So these are like, yeah. But yes, if you're trying to embed this graph, if you're trying to have an injective map to R2, then then it is intersecting in that sense. But that's a different thing. That's a completely different thing, which is somewhat, we need more language to understand all that. But yeah, for the time being, this is the situation. So this is another interesting question that you guys can try out. Okay, and the proof of this is algorithmic, as far as I know. The proof of, you can understand if you try for 4, make 2, then 6 we have already done, then try to build for 8 and 10. Let's design and see a pattern in which you can grow this. Okay, right. So right, so we will continue this the next time. So the coloring topic is slightly paused for the time being, because I think it's I just want to take one more class on this where I want to do more interesting, more things on that. Then I'll move to coloring. Okay, and then I will show a contrast between these two theories. So the next time, I will say next time, okay, we'll have the class next Saturday, same time, 8:30. If anyone has problems with the time, they can say. Okay, I can make it 9, but I prefer if it is 8:30. It's better for me, but I can make it 9 also. So if anyone has problems with this, then say. Otherwise, I'll keep the same time, and we'll do this next Saturday. Okay. And tomorrow we will continue with the counting. So I can just say quickly. So tomorrow will be, tomorrow 8:30 is good, right? Tomorrow also 8:30. So I'm just saying it. I'll mention it in the mail. But just saying it here. This will be Sunday, IST. Obviously, yeah, I'll send a mail to those who should attend. But obviously anyone can. But those who should, yeah, Sunday 8:30, and we will be looking at, yeah. So we were looking at this counting cycle decompositions of a specific type, which I had framed as a word problem, but that's a very important question. Cycle decompositions, and then basically there's one cycle of certain size, another cycle of certain size, but then we will count based on number of cycles. Okay, if there are 5 tables, then how can you arrange 20 people on 5 tables? We'll do those kind of questions, and then obviously we'll continue from there. It goes into some equation, polynomial way to see things, and yeah, will be, it's good for people to attend that, maybe. Yes. Okay, because it all connects. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Right. So yes. So I think you have not done a permutation and combination. But it's very awesome that you are able to do these things so easily. But yeah, this is just a symbol. Okay, this is basically saying that how many ways are there to choose 2 things from n things. in the Indian textbooks, usually they write like this, maybe. Okay? In our textbooks, yeah. But yeah, in general, this just means that how many ways are there to choose two things from n things. That's all it means. And the formula, and you can, I think, easily prove that the formula is this: n into n minus 1 by 2. And this is the number of edges. Because when you're counting how many edges are there in total, right? If there are n vertices, then if you just choose two vertices, and that's your edge. So n choose 2, n into n minus. You can try to prove this. This is easy to show. Yeah. Nice. But it's developing very good intuition for graphs. That's very nice. Yeah. Okay. So that's it for today. Thank you.